shake it like a Polaroid picture over here. This is Biossance Squalane and Copter Peptide Rapid Plumping Serum. Man, this weather change is making my skin go crazy. And look, it's fun, it's blue. Whoop. So I will put this on as I wait for a couple people to pop on. And I can't be too long today. I said that yesterday, and then we really got into some deep stuff. But more the reason I have to move it and scoot it along today, not too long. So there's my peptide. So I wanted today to talk about why narcissists choose us, or why me. I see this question coming up more and more with my clients or just followers saying, why me? Like, what did I do to deserve this? Why are narcissists attracted to me? And there's a few different answers. You know, everyone's situation is different. I'm going to put my moisturizer on. It's Tatcha. Everyone's situation is different. But for one, I want you to know you're doing nothing wrong. Nothing is your fault. So the questioning of like, I must have done something, even especially while you're in it, you think almost you cannot deserve the abuse. Some people do, but even like, I must have done something to make this happen, where you need to take your fault out of it. First of all, narcissists are narcissists with or without you, right? They're going to find their supply, as we call it, regardless of if you're there or not. You want them to supply on somebody else. But so first of all, some reasons, well, sometimes we fall into it, right? In childhood, we may fall into being a victim just by being born into a family with a narcissist, right? Or an abuser. You do not create this person. You do not make them act a certain way. Because you did X doesn't mean anyone has the right to be abusive towards you or treat you poorly, right? That's something we really have to remember. I remember thinking when I was younger, you know, well, because they will tell you that it's your fault. They will tell you, well, if you didn't say this, I wouldn't have, you know, strangled you with a telephone cord. Yeah, that's that fun stuff. So you have to remember, first and foremost, it's not your fault. You didn't do anything. Maybe you were born into the situation. If it's a situation where, why are you attracting it? Let's say in a romantic situation or even friendships. So I can look back at my situation. You may have had, odds are, and this is what I find with most people I work with that have abusive situations later in life, they were at least mistreated, even if they didn't grow up with a narcissist. They did have some sort of mistreatment. They were dismissed. Maybe they had a father or mother who was absent. There's something that isn't your fault, but something, good morning, they play the blame game. Yes, they do, Marie. There's something where you're lacking feeling loved or worthy or validated due to some circumstance in your life. Therefore, you are the perfect target. It doesn't make it your fault. It doesn't make it anything wrong with you. Your life, your path, unfortunately, opens you up to being more likely a victim and an easier target. And that's where you have to do the work to become not a target, where you recognize the signs. You don't tolerate the BS, right? So let's say in my case, right, you grow up with abusive behavior around you. Ah, shit. You're way more likely to accept friendships that aren't balanced. You can get into relationships that aren't just not balanced, but abusive. I definitely did. My relationship was pretty emotionally abusive, and I took it, and I kept pushing and pulling back and forth, but I accepted it because it was comfortable for me. So, and that's not always the case, but I would say 90%, I'd have to think about all the clients and all the people I've talked to. It feels like 100%. I'm just giving it a little, being a little conservative. Most people that end up in toxic, abusive, whatever situations as adults had abuse or toxicity one or the other, growing up in some way in their immediate family or whatever their like guardianship was. I'm gonna use my Mac on my eyes. So we're comfortable with it where maybe we don't see the signs. I always say I didn't really know any better. Of course, like, it didn't feel good, and I lived every day kind of in fear, and looking back, that makes me really pissed off. But I didn't have an outsider's view. That was my life. So then when I entered in romantic relationship with a guy who was really shitty to me, I accepted it because I was like, oh, this is just kind of how people are, right? So why does it happen to us? Usually because we were born into a situation, and sometimes because it's family, people don't want to look at it that way. People don't want to accept the fact that they were raised in a not so great healthy environment. I'm using my Dermatology Universal Tinted Moisturizer, SPF 46. But if you crack that open, odds are you're going to see that there was some sort of toxicity. If you are in an abusive relationship now, odds are your self-esteem is not, or was not when you got in the relationship, that high. Odds are because of your upbringing. And I mean, the thoughts we have when we're in an abusive like childhood situation of like, I felt like everyone just like was insecure or not confident like me. And we all have our stuff and our insecurities, but hands down, if you are in an abusive situation, you're going to have, hold on, turning on the light. That didn't really help. You're going to have more insecurities and more void, more lack, more desire to be seen, desire to feel validated than somebody who is raised in a healthy environment, you know? Personality always plays a part of it, but that can take me to this part of why me? A lot of people that are personality-wise are empaths, so this could be a thing where you didn't necessarily grow up in an unhealthy environment. Maybe this is you. You're like, well, what's wrong with me that I'm attracting piss poor friends or boyfriends or girlfriends, or getting into, it always seems like I get into some toxic situation, even in the workplace, whatever it is. Even if you had a healthy upbringing, odds are you are empathetic, you have a big heart, and you overlook people's faults because you are one of those people who try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Unconditionally love, which is a great thing, to unconditionally love. That doesn't equal tolerate abuse. And I want that to be clear, because I've had someone literally ask me, well, like, you know, I'm a God person, whatever. I feel like I should be forgiving. I'm like, oh, you can forgive all you want. That doesn't mean you need to live a daily life with that person. You don't even need to have a relationship with that person. I've let go of friends that I love, I care about, I wish them well, I pray for them, that they find peace. I don't really even have bad feelings about them, but it doesn't fit into my peace, like my peaceful life that I know God wants for me. And I always give them chances, and I'm sure you do too, but there's patterns. And everyone has a bad day, but if it's a pattern and you have a talk and they're not going to change their behavior towards you, that is just protecting yourself. That's not rejecting anyone. That's not turning your nose to someone in need. They don't want the help. Here's the difference too. If someone wants the help, someone, even abusive, right? There are abusers out there that do want the help, and it's a product of their environment growing up. That's all they knew. And they're like, I don't want to be this way. Okay, get therapy, get help. See you in 6 months when you've done some work, and we'll reevaluate, right? But with narcissistic abuse, those odds are like 0.0000023. I mean, the odds of a narcissist wanting help is really, really minuscule. So I think that's important to note, that, using my steal a kitten, that you don't have to feel bad. There should be no guilt, because God did not put us here to suffer. God did not put us here to deal with evil. Are we supposed to help others? Yeah. There's plenty of other ways to help others than tolerate narcissistic abuse. That's not helping them, and that's not helping you. I want you to hear that again. Tolerating narcissistic abuse is not helpful to anybody, including the abuser. It actually enables them. It makes them do it more. It makes them believe they can do it to more people. And the domino effect is destructive to even more lives. So you're not just hurting yourself. You're not just hurting the abuser. You're actually hurting other people that then will be an effect of you tolerating it, will make that abuser know they can do it to other people, get away with it, and then they're hurting more. So you're actually detrimenting a domino effect of people. So if you have, because I've had people, I'm like, let's clear this up. You think, oh, I don't want to like turn on this person. I don't want to, and they tug on your heartstrings and make you feel bad, whatever. You don't want to turn on them. You're actually hurting them by tolerating abuse from them. You are hurting them. You're hurting yourself a hell of a lot, but you're hurting them and you're hurting other people. That's something I think it's not really talked about enough. I want to make like a whole video just on that. I'm going to use my nude envy. So I got a little sidetracked here. I don't even remember what I was saying like right before that. But okay, what else you got? Any more questions since I totally sidetracked there? It's hard to make up in chat sometimes when it gets deep. That's why usually I keep it pretty lighthearted. Not anymore, because people need help. But it's not your fault, and that is something really, really important to know, because often we think, what did I do? What did I do? You didn't do anything. You may have been born into a childhood that let you accept it and be comfortable with abuse. You may just have that personality where you are loving and overlook a lot. My husband, I mean, I'm very empathetic, and my husband is similar. However, I've learned the tools to not tolerate, and he has learned, I think, from being around me now for so long. He's a lot more by nature, though, like giving, like very trusting, where I will say I wasn't very, because of my own history, I was not that trusting of people by nature, or by circumstantially. My husband is, right? So he's very trusting and overlooking and understanding. They take advantage of your empathy. Absolutely. So I noticed when me and my husband were dating that sometimes there would be situations even at work or in friendship where I'd be like, oh my, honey, you're getting taken advantage of there. And he's like, oh, well, you know, what are you going to do? Overall, it works. And I'm like, does it work though? Because I could tell he felt bad about it. So there's been a few situations now that when we've talked about them, he does go back and says to the person, hey, you know, I was thinking whatever. And people, I think, respect him even more after that for speaking up. It's hard to do. Though, for some people, right? Like, he's an introvert. He doesn't like conflict. He doesn't like to rock the boat. You know, that's the difference with me. I'm an empath. I've gotten taken advantage by certain specific people, more just family related. Oh, yes, Marie. See, this is something, yes, look up narcissist and empath. You will see pages of stuff. That's their gold mine. Their gold mine is if they find an empathetic person. I mean, they will cling on. They can tell right away. They will listen for cues that you are an empath. They will pay very close attention to what gets your heart. There's situations like where they will, in the beginning, right? Let's say romantic situation, give an example. They notice, oh, because they right away, they want to get their victims in quickly under their control. So they know what to do. They've got, it's all planned out. It's very calculated. They're very calculated. So let's say, you know, I love kids, right? And I always am giving to like children-based charities on adoption, foster, whatever, right? So let's say I meet a new guy because my husband abandoned me or something. Mike, don't leave. No, but let's say I was in a situation, I was dating, I meet this guy, he's a narcissist, we're at dinner, and I'm telling him like, yeah, I just went to this benefit for the foster children, and da-da-da-da, and he's like, oh yeah, cool. So very soon after, he could, to get my heartstrings, to kind of, to make sure I'm seeing him in a good light and trying to swoop me under his little asshole bird wing, he would say, you know what? What's that name again? I'm going to donate. I'm going to donate to that cause. That sounds amazing. It's like, oh, for an empath, you're like, oh, wow. That's like amazing, right? Because you want to be surrounded by people who care too. So they will often put on a facade and customize their giving, you know, their whatever it is to appease you, but it's not really to be nice for you. You think it's a great thing, that's so nice, they must care about me and care about children. No, they care about getting control of you, stuffing you under their birdie wing, right? I don't know why I'm using a weird bird analogy today. We never know. This is Lawless. I'm going to put on, this is that lip balm that just kind of smooths out lines a touch. I mean, it's not a miracle. Don't get too excited, but I love it. It's hydrating. I think it has hyaluronic acid in it. It's called Pink Marshmallow, the color, but it's really just clear. See, you can't see. It's just like glossy looking, but it's lip balm, not gloss. So that's something to note. If often narcissists will really wine and dine you, they'll do their best to really win you over. I never thought about this guy as a narcissist because I was young. Didn't even know what a narcissist was, but jealousy is a huge thing with them. And this guy, looking back, he could have just been like really possessive, but being possessive and jealous can be definitely a sign of narcissist. But this guy, really cute Greek guy, we went out, and he would bring me presents every time he picked me up. Roses, a bracelet, a book. Like, he paid. I thought he was very thoughtful, and he could have been. Again, I can't go back and, like, dissect this relationship, but I'm just giving you examples of what could be. He really paid very close attention, and in turn would give me gifts, right? And I did think it was, like, a little much. I'm like, whoa, okay, but it was like very sweet. I was just out of the very narcissistic relationship where the guy treated me like dog beans. Is that a thing? Dog beans? I don't know. He treated me so poorly that he did gifts too in the beginning though. I forgot about that. But somebody always wanting to drive to me, always taking me out, wouldn't ever let me pay, brought me roses. What do you want to do? Just catered to me. So we dated a couple months. And then I find a shift around 2-3 months. They can do it longer, but you start to see little signs, I feel like, of people in general when you're dating. But after the second-ish month, weird signs of like possessiveness. Bird wings and dog beans. Yeah, there's Christy's weird videos for the morning. Bird wings and dog beans. I should retitle this. Actually, I should after. That'd be funny. That'll get people's attention. So one night he picked me up. It was his birthday, and he brought me a dozen pink roses. And I was like, it's your birthday. Why are you giving me roses? And I gave him like a little gift. And I believe he gave me a gift too. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. It's his birthday. That's so sweet, whatever. But that was the first night I remember there was like a sign of this possessiveness. Like we went out with his family and friends. He was really close with his family and had, big Greek family and friends. And I was like excited. This guy was like on paper a dream. Great job. just totally doted over me, which made me really filled that void I had from my last relationship where I felt so not worthy of anybody. So I was like, oh my God, this really good looking, amazing guy likes me. Like, what's happening in this world, you know? So he lifted my confidence. We had fun. He was spontaneous, which I loved. He'd be like, oh, let's just go here and go here, you know, little adventures. He built a desk for me. He had spent the night, oh my God, there's a beautiful, beautiful, is it a crow? It's huge though. Oh my God, its wingspan was just crazy. Yes, because they want to, that's the thing. Some people giving gifts can be very like out of the goodness of the heart. Some can be, and that's where you have to pay attention to the other behaviors. Like what comes after that? Do they get possessive? But yes, like Maria is saying, it's like you owe them then, right? You feel indebted if they're always giving you gifts. My stepsister had a very similar experience, and he got possessive too. But at first they don't seem, it's like they reel you in. Then once they feel like they've caught you in their web, and again, I can't say for sure this guy's a narcissist, but they've caught you in the web, then they can do the possessiveness where they isolate you from your friends, family, and that's what this guy tried to do, but it didn't work. That doesn't work. Oh, red flag. And I like to say there's never 100% of anything. Some people go in pretty quick, but the overdoting and all that can be a sign. So that's why I say you have to pair it with these other signs. If someone's going in too quick and then you get even a hint of that possessiveness, that's not a good, that's pretty much a red flag, the combination. Going in too quick with gifts, sometimes people are just, it's their love language or whatever, and they're just so excited about a new relationship. That could mean they're insecure and just trying to like make sure you stick around. So you're saying be cautious. Yes, be cautious. Be cautious for sure. So you be cautious, of course, with anyone going in quick. But then you watch too. So like this guy, for example, that night, we went out to dinner and went out, met his friends and family out. And I was talking to his cousin, this girl. I just met her that night. We clicked. We were chatting. I was talking to her for like 15 minutes. And he comes over and he hands me a drink. And he's like, got your favorite, right? It's like, oh, got your favorite. I was like, oh, thank you. And I'm talking. And he goes, are you going to hang out with me tonight or my cousin? And I was like, what? I've never done jealous well. Never. Like, even in all my abusive disrupt and damage, like, I don't know. I am like a flying bird. Did you say it again? So you're saying because, oh, it popped up again. I am like a bird. Do not try to cage me in. I don't do well with jealousy at all. So him doing that, I looked at him and I said, you invited me to a party where there are other people. I am not one who's going to stand right next to you and follow you around like a puppy all night. Your cousin started talking to me. It seems like that would be a good thing to you, that I'm getting along and wanting to know your family. Like, I was like, boo. And I had been through it with the last relationship, and I was not going to tolerate that. Like, I was not going to tolerate feeling that way inside again, even though it wasn't the same thing. This was jealousy or like possessiveness over a girl. I mean, his cousin I'm talking to. And I was like, that needs to not happen. I'm going to talk to who I want to talk to. Like, I got pissed. And we only probably went out a couple more times. I mean, that probably should have been it for me. But again, I was still learning and healing. Yes. But I thought, look, I'll give him, maybe he just, I usually give one, and I do think it was the next date. We went out with my friends, and this was the last date. We went out with my friends, and I was like, I'll have a Coke. We went out for Mexican, I think it was. But anyway, I was like, I'll have a Coke. And he goes, she'll have a water. I mean, what homie? What home skillet? You mean you have a water? So he tried to order reorder my drink for me. And I looked down, I looked at the waitress and I was like, I'll have a Coke. And he was like, that's not good for you. And I was like, you're not good for me. And then that was the last day. My friend was like, oh my God. Like, she knew, I think she said, like, in that moment, I knew it was over. Like, you're not going to order Christy anything. She's going to, first of all, create her own order. And second of all, you're not going to reorder after she's already ordered. She was like, I knew that was it. So it was kind of like I gave a second chance and he blew it like even worse out of the water. I was like, is this guy just trying to get rid of me? That was not a good move, dude. So that was pretty crazy. I had another guy like that who, I remember he like put a napkin on my lap. I mean, I'm Christy. I don't know. I was just eating chips. We weren't at the meal yet. And I was just like, ooh, I'm excited. I do Mexican a lot. It was Mexican chips and salsa. No one's going to pause for a napkin for that. Other people recognize it and let you know, good for them. Yes. Well, and that's true too. Listen to your friends. If someone says like, that seemed like weird behavior, like listen to that, you know? Yeah, this other dude was really cocky and arrogant. So hot though. I mean, it was one of those things. This was before my, was it? Actually, it might have been on. I don't remember. But that just lasted a short time too. He was kind of arrogant. He actually was, I'm not going to say who, but he was cousins of a very, very famous person. So maybe that played into it. He was in a couple shows or movies himself, and very good looking. I'm sure he had all the ladies, and I'm sure he was probably dating other people. We were dating very briefly. And then we got chips and salsa, and he reached across and put my napkin on my lap across the table. And I said, that was our last day. I was like, I said, the only reason you should reach your hand over across the table. I said something weird. I said weird shit in my 20s. I don't know. I like get sassy and weird stuff would come out. I was like, the only reason your hand should come across this table is to sweep a hair out of my face and tell me I'm pretty or something. Like, it was pretty, like, ridiculous. But, and he was like, oh, I was just helping you out. I was like, I don't need help eating. I'm 26 years old or whatever I was. I think 26, must have been after. So yes, low tolerance, but I think no one should I mean, that's like just weird. Don't reach across the table and put a napkin on someone like a child. I wouldn't even do that to my child. As a parent, right. As a parent, if they're like 2, even my 4-year-old, I'd say, oh, honey, tuck your thing. Like Cora was a hot mess express. I didn't want, like when we had tomato sauce, that's the only time I actually ever, if there was like messy food, I'd have her like tuck a napkin on if she had a dress on or whatever. But homie, I am a 20-whatever-year-old woman. You better get your hands on your side of the table. Boy. Wonder where he is now. Yeah, that whole thing was weird. But those are signs. Like, you may not take them too deeply, especially if you've been mistreated as a child growing up. And you have to look at that stuff. There are red flags. There are cautions. Not everything means everyone's a narcissist or abusive. But if you see patterns or you see like more than one kind of weird thing stacked up together, like they're rushing into a relationship and they get possessive and they try to control you. Someone putting on a napkin on my lap, to me, is control. That's not help at that age, right? You're helping your kid when they can't like fold a napkin. Like Cora couldn't get it to stay in her shirt, right? But the second she could, that was her. You guide them, but that's a child. You don't guide a 26-year-old woman how to eat chips. You know what? If we're not a match because I eat chips without a napkin on my plate because you're so bougie, then we're not a match. That's it. Just be like, yeah, I went on this date with this girl tonight. She didn't put a napkin on her lap until the dinner came. She was eating chips and I saw a little speck fly onto her lap. It's not a match. That's fine. We're not a match. Maybe I'm messy. I don't know. I don't really care. They were delicious and I loved them. So is this the problem? We misconstrue this as kindness when it's control. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people do because well, especially empaths, we want to see the good in people. Lucky for me that, I had been through that toxic situation. And I also, the childhood narcissist in my life, because I had separated from that, I was seeing things like I wasn't living in that situation anymore. I was seeing like things from an outside view too, of like, remember when this person did that and said they were helping? Because that's a huge thing. They would always say, I'm just looking out for you. I'm just did it, right? No, you're trying to gain control and possession of me. I'm trying to protect you was often a word that they used. I'm just protecting you. And I can't go into details because then it will be obvious who this person is in my life, whatever. And I really don't want to like go that deep for their privacy, honestly. Even why would I protect them? Because they're still a human. And if I can avoid saying exactly what it is, I'm going to. For their protection, also for my own, whatever. But they would often say, oh, I'm doing it for you. But really looking back, I see it was the situations they were protecting me were really to keep me indebted to them, to keep control over me, right? Like you said, Marie, I owe you now, right? So they would do things, pretend it was an act of protection, and then be like, look what I do for you. Mark that down in your book of what I do for you. And they will make it be very known that they did that for you. Remember that. Oops. I had a friend that literally, right before I stopped being friends with her, said, remember, you need me. And I remember that was so weird to me. Remember, you need me. Because she had, I think, felt me distancing. And I think she was getting scared that I was backing away. Not saying she's a narcissist or anything, just saying it's, whether it's insecurity or control, whatever, that's not a good feeling to have, to feel like you owe somebody, right? Friendship is a two-way street. Relationships are a two-way street. Right, they'll say you're ungrateful. Yeah, Marie. So healthy relationships, and this is important. Healthy relationships don't use good things against each other, doing good things for each other against each other. That's just not how it works. There's not a tit for tat. Well, I did this, you did that. You do for each other, and sometimes it's not going to be perfectly consistent, perfectly equal, parallel, whatever. I can't think of the word right now. But it's not going to be like, well, yeah, they don't keep score. Right. That's a good way to put it. I love that. Yeah, they don't keep score. It's like, like me and my husband, we're very different in how we show love to each other. Besides the obvious. No, I'm just kidding. But, like I might write little notes where he's more acts of service, like even taking out the trash or doing extra things around the house is like a way he shows love. Or like he'll get me my favorite thing at the grocery store, like that I might even say, oh, I don't really want that. And he'll bring me home donuts and be like, but they make you happy, like he likes to see me happy. So he'll do things to see me happy. What else? He will say things more, right? And like neither one of us actually are super affectionate, which is, we always joke about that, right? But someone like we're not super PDA. I'm like trying to even get more because I'm like, it does feel good, but my lack of PDA is from, yeah, that's love, baby, donuts. My lack of being affectionate definitely comes from my childhood. Like, especially with men. Oh, there's a bunny. There's so many funny animals. I feel like Snow White right now. Like, it's not like I don't want to get all personal, but it's not like I won't do certain things, but like being vulnerable and opening up and like initiating affection is not my jam. And that comes from childhood stuff. I won't get into all that in this episode. Actually, I gotta go. But definitely some people show in like affection, right? Like, oh, he does though. Mike will rub my feet all the time. Maybe it's TMI. I mean, it's not. But you know, some people are like, ew, feet. But they're always clean, fresh out of the shower every night. I shower, we watch shows or whatever. And that I guess in a way is a sign of, you know, love or whatever. I would never touch his feet. I don't touch feet. I don't do that, right? But I write little notes. I'll send him little emails throughout the week. He doesn't do that. The complaint I get is that I won't let anyone close to me. Right. And that's the wall that, you know, if we work together, and I know, you know, if you want to ever work on that, let me know, because we can always work something out. Like I'm not all about making money. I like to help people in whatever way I can. So if you want to work on that, let me know. I know you have a wall about even working on that, I think. Like you, and there's plenty of people like that. I felt like that with girl friendships recently when I like had lost friendships, and then I made friendships and they moved away, and then I was like, fuck this, and I put a wall up, and I didn't even want to pull it down. More recently I pulled it down. You have to do it on your timeline. But it's about, that comes from just not trusting. But we all need to get close to people. So you have to think about, what is your fear about getting close? What is it? What is it that you're afraid of? And I'm going to call bullshit on you're not afraid of anything if you want to say that. I don't think you will. But some people are like, oh, I'm not afraid. I just don't. No, there's fear there. Sorry. It's because by nature, it is our human nature to be close to other. I mean, even animals. It's animalistic nature to be close and dependent in a way. Right. Betrayal. So did you go through betrayal in your life that led you there, right? Like for me, in my friendship, I got really hurt in one friendship. So hurt, it felt like a freaking divorce and scarred my heart forever. Like the fact it's years later and I'm still dealing with that, I will say it's layered on because probably, right, you keep going back in your childhood. So I'd already felt like abandoned. I had daddy issues, whatever. And felt like I wasn't good enough and this and that. And then I had a friend who I finally felt like I was really safe and was my home. It's like my home life was pretty hard. And I'm sorry, Mom. Sometimes she watches my video. She knows the drill. The deal. I love her. There were just things that I didn't feel safe about and good about in my home. And so would depend on friendships. And this one person overly, you know, codependent basically. We're codependent besties, which is cute in high school, I guess. But I think I didn't let it go. She got a boyfriend and like the whole dynamic changed. And then she crested out. Email me, good Marie, email me. I would love to help you. She crested out and it like threw my world into a weird orbit of like, see, I'm not good enough again. Like what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I mean, I literally called my other friends. I was calling friends. I'm like, tell me everything that's wrong with me. I mean, that's so weird to say out loud, but I get it. I still get it. I remember feeling that like it has to be me because I was always to blame growing up. That hit a little spot. We're going like too deep these mornings. But I don't care. God's having me talk about it, I'm going to talk about it. But man, feeling like it's always your fault is a really shitty thing to feel. And maybe I was partially at fault. Like I still don't know exactly the reason with her. But I was really destroyed about it and felt horrible, felt rejected, felt like I wasn't good enough. Wanted to fix it and I couldn't. She wouldn't answer my calls even, you know. So it was really devastating. And I mean, I've come a long way with that. But there's little parts I think of me now that just still have little insecurities when I enter like new friendships, you know, because of that situation. So there's a lot of things that can create the dynamic. It's not your fault. It's not about that. If you're narcissist or not, when we ask why me, just stop that thinking of it's your fault. Why me feels very like, why me? What did I do? Almost. You didn't do anything. It's the dynamic of your path of life. It's your, like maybe your upbringing, your personality that attracts certain things, your belief or trust in people. There's a lot of things that go into it. So I'll end with that. I gotta go. That is my alarm saying I need to go. So put your smooches and your deuces up. Another deeper little thing. Good to see you, Marie, and anyone on replay. Hello. Drop a hello in the comment. Put a little heart emoji if you want. Click a thumbs up. That always helps my videos. Marie, if you want to click a thumbs up, that would help. It just helps reach more people. And I want to help more people. I want people to like hear this stuff so they, thank you, so they know they're not alone and it's not their fault, and like there is hope of better people and trusting again. Okay. Deuces, smooches, bye-bye.